Good afternoon, everyone. As Steve said, I'm Sam Mannion. Really nice to be a part of this week. I'm Principal Child and Family Social Worker in Somerset. So I guess ultimately you're probably all aware from previous forums you've been to, the family safeguarding model is something that as a service we've always been really passionate about. I think we went along to a conference delivered by Hertfordshire Council, who established the Centre for Family Safeguarding Practice back in 2019. And it was something we all thought, wow, this is something we'd really like to be a part of, which kind of demonstrates the investment and the energy put into embedding this model in Somerset. And I guess I was really fortunate to be a family safeguarding team manager at the time when it was implemented, and really seeing as part of that experience those positive outcomes that were being achieved through this way of working for children and families. Okay. So I guess people may not have an understanding of the family safeguarding model, may not have had experiences, hence being at this forum today, but I just thought, gee, if anyone wants to put anything in the chat around what your understanding is, your experiences, it would be really great to hear from you all. I'll give us a couple of seconds for people to type away anything that you might want to add in there. And if not, that's absolutely fine too. Okay, I'll move on and then I can always come back to things if people add something later on. Okay, so what is family safeguarding model? Ultimately, it's that whole family approach of working with and not doing to, so very similar to what Sarah was talking about in respect to family intervention. So that's supporting parents to create those long-term changes for them and their children. And ultimately, we want to keep more children safe at home with their families. Okay. So the main principle is that multidisciplinary team. So we have teams that consisting of the children's social worker. We then have the adult mental health practitioner, the adult drug and alcohol practitioner, and the adult domestic abuse practitioner. And we're really lucky and fortunate to have a psychologist that works across Somerset with our teams to be able to provide that expert guidance and support when we need. So having those multidisciplinary teams is fantastic in terms of being able to provide help to families needed to improve the health and development of their children within those multidisciplinary teams, and providing that instant access to support for parents in respect to their mental health, substance misuse and domestic abuse. I guess we've kind of all experienced those moments where we've worked with a child, worked with a family, and the family really clearly saying, I need help with X, Y, Z, and that can sometimes be delayed through having to make the referrals to those specialist provisions. But having that team wrapped around the child and family means that we can really reduce that waiting time and really respond at those critical moments for our families. And the thing that kind of connects everything is our group supervisions. So the group supervisions are facilitated by the team manager of the team, and it's an opportunity for all of the practitioners to come together, really look at patterns, what things are going well for the family, why are those things going well, if a parent is engaging better with one practitioner than another, what is it that practitioner is doing differently, how can we all really build on the strengths that we can see and build that creativity in the way we're working with a family. Okay, and I guess motivational interviewing, we've been really passionate about embedding motivational interviewing in Somerset, and it's absolutely fantastic that the SSCP are delivering the MI training across the partnership as well. So if anyone has the opportunity that hasn't already, get booked on. I think it's one of the best training that's kind of on offer. It's fantastic. So ultimately, that use of motivational practice, working on those compounding factors known to cause harm to the children, so domestic abuse, mental health, substance misuse, many of you will know they're kind of often referred to as a trio of vulnerabilities. And motivational interviewing is just really central to really trying to increase that engagement and supporting that change for families. let's face it, we go in and ultimately we're strangers to these families. We really want to build those relationships, build on those strengths within families, and develop that trust with the families that we're working with, which is why that motivational interviewing is essential. So as I put in there, that collaborative conversation style for strengthening a person's own motivation and commitment to change. And I think the values of the family safeguarding model, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I think, I don't know about anyone else, but I read those values and that's something that sits really firmly with me and my sets of values as a practitioner. And I think, you know, most practitioners would say the same. You know, we want to be working collaboratively, strengths-based, purposeful, so that rights-based. And I think the bit I really like in there as well is around the aspirations. So us as practitioners having those high aspirations for the children and families to achieve that change, and in turn those aspirations that families and children then feel for themselves. Intended outcomes. So I've kind of split this down into 3 sections. So for our families, we really want to, as I've already said, improve that engagement, really want to build that trust, want families to take on the support and tell us what they think they need, rather than us going in and saying, I think you need to do X, Y, Z. That multidisciplinary team. So as I said, being able to provide that right support at the right time is essential, of reducing that drift and delay, trying to get that right support to families when they really need it, and keeping our high-risk families safely together and improving that health and educational outcomes for our children. And practitioners, and I think anyone that's spoken to practitioners within the family safeguarding team, hopefully we'll hear from them that, you know, it really does enable more of that direct work with families and those specialists to be able to deliver that direct work, really developing that skills and knowledge. I think, you know, we work, all of us across the partnership work with some really complex, challenging situations at times, and we can't be the experts at everything, but having a situation where you really need to know a little bit more about substance misuse. What does that mean? What does that mean in terms of domestic abuse, that cycle of change? Having those practitioners within the teams to say, could you tell me a little bit more about this? Can you help me with this? And those joint visits is second to none. And, you know, ultimately that strengthening information sharing, shared decision making. You know, we hear time and time again, don't we, on whether that be the news, whether that be things locally, you know, that information sharing is so essential to getting things right. And for us as a local authority, providing that high quality service and improving that cross-agency partnership working. So the York Consulting evaluation, nearly there, Steve, kind of summarises. I thought it'd be really helpful just to have some key quotes on there in terms of how practitioners have found it. But I think ultimately for us as a service, the outcomes that it achieves, supports families to achieve, has been second to none. And it's a really great model to be a part of. And my last slide, I thought I wanted to include this because I think, you know, the independent review of children's social care, if anyone's had a bit of bedtime read and has read any of it, I think this quote really kind of summarises actually what the family safeguarding model achieves. So it talks about the rights, really thinking about that engagement, that help, and what I really like is that partnership working within there. So I just wanted to include the quote to summarise what I feel family safeguarding model does.